Hello, Lovelace, and welcome to today's wider curriculum lesson, which is going to continue with its focus on history. You can see from our question for today, it's all about archaeology. So do I understand what we can discover from archaeological finds from the Viking Age period? Now, we know from our work on Anglo-Saxon Britain that much of what we know is because of archaeologists. And there we go. There's an archaeological dig. So the scientists there have dug into the ground and they're excavating, they're finding artifacts, maybe the shapes of buildings and settlements, maybe pots, maybe old weapons, all sorts of things. And they're going to piece that jigsaw puzzle together to find out what life was like in those periods of time. Now, this particular dig took place in 1976. So in 1976, the Coppergate area of York, which is in the northeast of England, was excavated by the archaeologist Richard Hall and his team. The artifacts they found helped us understand much about the daily lives of Vikings in Britain. Okay, so this dig in Coppergate is possibly one of the biggest Viking archaeological digs ever taken. And a lot of the artifacts there are now on display. Following the dig, the Jorvik Viking Centre was built and opened its doors to the public in 1984. Now, the Jorvik Centre is a museum. It's an exhibit of Viking relics, of Viking artifacts. And if you ever do visit the Jorvik Centre, you will have a fabulous day out because part of the tour, they put you in like roller coaster carriages and take you around various scenes, various dioramas. So this is here they try to bring the Viking Age to life with life-size model exhibits. It's not just about little things stuck under glass for people to look at. You actually travel through Viking villages. So here's a couple of scenes just to share with you if you ever feel you want to visit York and in turn visit the Jorvik Viking Centre. So here's one of the scenes, and you can see the way they would have been dressed, the construction of some of their furniture, the hazel fencing that they would have used, the animal skins. Okay? So it gives you just a sense of what daily life, everyday life was like for the Vikings. Here's another one. You can see this man with his knife. It's called a seax. This small knife which you'd use for crafting, for whittling the wood, shaping the wood into various tools or various things needed. Very simple workbenches. You can see that they were able to shape iron into various tools. We've got a hay fork there. We've got a bowl. We've got various sizes of pans. They've been able to shape the iron to form a ring here around this barrel. So all sorts of little clues we've discovered to help us paint a clearer picture as to the life of the Viking. And here you can see what they might have been eating. In this case, he's got a fish there in his hand. The cloaks, so very simple brooch, just holding his cloak on there. Okay. But the Jorvik Viking Centre is full of these types of exhibits, all life-size, all just to help the visitor get a better sense of what life was like. Now, on the back of the archaeological digs, we discovered a lot more about the sorts of tools and weapons the Vikings might have used. So here's the first one. I've already mentioned it. It's called a seax. And the seax is a knife. And it would have been worn by Vikings just on their belts. It's an everyday tool. Okay? So it could be used for all sorts of things, from shaping and shaving wood, to killing animals, to skinning animals, but also could have been used as a weapon in case of battle. The next tool is a hand axe. Okay, so a relatively small axe, not a big two-handed thing. It's a single hand axe, and it will be generally used for cutting wood, cutting into large pieces of meat, but again, could have been used as a weapon. Many of the Viking fight, many of the Vikings during times of battle wouldn't have had professional weaponry. They would have used whatever came to hand, whatever tools were nearest. So tools like the seax, tools like the hand axe, would have been perfectly adequate in battle, but also very, very useful every day on the farm. The shield. Okay. Now, the shield gave protection from sharp object attacks, so things like swords, arrows, spears. Okay. But you can see that the shield is made of two materials. In fact, three. The one bit you can't see will be the leather straps on the back for it to be held. But the front of the shield, two main materials. The centerpiece, which we call the boss of the shield would be made of iron. So it's very, very hard, but also very, very heavy. So it couldn't be too big. A full shield of iron would have been almost impossible to carry. So the remainder of the shield would be made of wood, so it's a little bit lighter, but not quite as strong as the boss in the middle. So if they were in close quarter battle, if they were very close to their opponent, they would be pushing and hitting them with the boss, with the center of the shield. Okay. But you've got the wooden surround there. This particular one, very, very ornate and decorated. You can see the carvings in there. Some shields would have been painted, had their designs painted onto them. Okay. But the boss in the middle would have been iron. The main body of the shield would have been wood. It may have had an iron surround as well to hold the wood in place. And then the straps on the back would have been leather. This is a single-handed spear. So it's not a massive weapon because it's designed to be held in one hand with the shield in the other. And it just allows you that extra reach. So if you're in a battle and you're holding onto a spear, you're going to be able to reach and injure someone further away than if they've just got a seax or a small axe. Okay. So the spear, they weren't designed to be thrown. You don't throw away your weapon. It was designed to be held in one hand and allow you to reach your opponent a little bit further away than some of the smaller weapons. Then we've got chainmail. Okay. Vikings were, say, very, very talented metal workers. And chainmail is basically almost like a fabric made of small rings of steel, all linked together. And those rings of steel form a vest, form a top, a tunic like this one, and would give really good protection against sharp weapon attacks. Okay. Now, if someone stabbed you with a sword, then chainmail is probably not going to cope. But if they just give a side swipe, hit you with a sword, then the chainmail would do a very good job of protecting you. So a really good extra layer of protection. But as you can imagine, quite heavy. If you're wearing chainmail, it means you need to be very fit, very healthy, very strong, so you can march around, run around the battlefield, and still carry all this extra weight. The helmet. As we've already mentioned, no horns on a Viking helmet. And they varied in design, all down to the individual. Okay, but often they would extend beyond just around the top of the head. Some were designed to protect the nose and around the eyes, like this one. This one on the chainmail warrior protected the nose. Some would have side pieces to protect the cheeks or the side of the head. So they all varied slightly in their design and their style, but they did not have horns. And as we explained before, if you can imagine someone drops a sword onto you If you've got a horn there, it will literally guide, it will steer the sword to the middle of your head, which is exactly what you don't want. You want the sword to be glancing off and falling off to the side, not to be steered to the middle of your head. Okay, so that's why the horns were not there. That's a fiction that's been made up. And finally, the sword. This was by far the most expensive weapon and would only have been carried by true warriors, by the best of warriors. Most Vikings, as we've mentioned, would use farm tools as weapons in battle. They wouldn't have a specialist warrior weapon like this one. Many swords, because they were so expensive, were passed down through the family. Okay? So this was a very, very valuable piece of kit. I mean, this particular one, you can see just how beautifully ornate it is. Okay? The hilt all carved, even the blade is carved. Okay, but very, very expensive piece of weaponry. So, everyday Viking artifacts. The dig in York revealed a lot more than just weapons. So your task for today, you're going to become junior amateur archaeologists. Okay, because what I'd like you to do is I'm going to show you 6 items that were found in Jorvik. And your challenge is to do the following 3 things. Tell me what you think they are. Okay, some of them are more obvious than others. What do you think they are? What do you think they're made of? And what do you think they're used for? Okay, so for each of the 6 items, I would like you to answer those 3 questions. So basically, you're going to have 18 answers, 3 answers for each object. What is it? What's it made of? And what is it for? Okay, so here's item 1. I'm not going to say anything about the object at all. You just need to look at it and decide on those 3 things. What do you think it is? What do you think it's made of? And what do you think it's used for? Or what do you think they are? What do you think they are made of? Or what do you think they are used for? Number 2, same 3 questions. What do you think it is? What do you think it's made of? What do you think it's used for? Number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. So all 6 of these items were dug up, were excavated in the archaeological dig in Coppergate, York, and are all on show at the Jorvik Centre. But what are they? Okay, at this point, you'll want to pause the video so you can make notes. But there's your challenge for today. What are they? What do you think they're made of? And what do you think they're used for? Keep your answers nice and clear and make sure you label your answers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So when I look at this on tapestry, I know which one you're talking about. Okay? So a reminder of the 3 questions. What are they? Or what do you think they are? What do you think they're made of? And what do you think they're used for? There's your challenge for today. And that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Okay? Take care of yourselves. Take care of those people around you. Stay safe. And I will see you very, very soon.